Scene Daddy Interviews.
All right, everyone, and welcome back to Scene Daddy Interviews. I have right now on the phone Spencer of A War Within. Spencer, man, how you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I actually just ate like a couple of minutes ago, so I'm feeling pretty good. I think there's ice cream in the fridge that I can have as well. So if you play your card right, maybe I can spoon feed you a little later.
There you go. Well, look, if I'm ever invited over to the Maybe household, I would be very honored.
Dude, actually, for our last headliner we did at home, I had like 12 people sleeping at our house.
Wow.
We had like the entire band plus some VIP people. So
damn.
Yeah, we're not shy about that.
Is that part of the new A War Within VIP package?
I wouldn't say so, but we have quite a few people traveling a long different distance. Some of the people were from Salt Lake, Philly, Syracuse.
Wow.
And then I had my whole band there, so it's like I just didn't want to be a dick and be like, all right, I get a lot of people were coming from all different directions, and it's very rare that you get people coming so far to where you live, as opposed to it's usually the other way around. Bands travel to you, so in this case, like our hometown show, we always do it as big as we can.
That's very cool.
And plenty of people, man, all the way from New Mexico, Salt Lake, and then even the East Coast, like Philadelphia. We had people coming from everywhere.
Wow. Well, I can tell you one of the reasons, we've talked before, I've seen you live. You were actually one of the very first in-person interviews that I ever did. And one of the things that I've always noticed throughout the entire years that I've known you, you go out of your way to take care of the people that support you. And I've always thought that was really great to see.
Well, I think the only way you get to be something like, a big band, like A Day to Remember, I guarantee they were sleeping on like the floors of their fans' house. They don't become, at some point they don't remain fans. They're friends. They become friends.
Right.
You tour so much around their area that you guys become good friends. And they're the ones that have seen you get to the next level or have seen you struggle at the bottom. And then, for A Day to Remember, I know they were touring for years, or AFI. You name any band that hasn't been touring for years. So I guarantee they all had the same situation. And I don't know. It's like I kind of do this for me, but I also really don't, because it's like without these people, I wouldn't be able to do it. Like I enjoy what I do, and these people just help facilitate it, and they're good. They're really big motivators. So. And that's definitely what I've wanted to keep his band forever. One of my favorite vocalists, Anthony Green. He'll always bust out an acoustic guitar and play for people whether there's VIP or not, like waiting in line. So it's like to be a real fan and not just somebody who's like, oh, I've heard of them and I've been to one of their shows. Not to be a real fan, you deserve to get treated a lot better than other people, I'd say.
Yeah, that's a great mindset. It really is. So I know recently, and I mean very recently at the time of this recording, you had a show in Chicago, correct?
Yeah, it was on Saturday, two days ago, Monday.
Yeah, I can't believe, I know. The days they blend together. So how was that? Because I know that was like a quick trip, right?
It was good. Yeah, we did it all in one day.
Wow.
We're like trying not to focus too hard on touring right now. We're trying to focus on the region at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to build up, like, especially Chicago. That was only our 5th time in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
In other places, we've been double digits. So it's like Chicago's probably the next closest big city to us. And It's like, man, we've been fucking up. We should be hitting Chicago like every other month.
Sure.
To try to grow out there, because it's like it's like the New York City of the Midwest.
Right.
I don't know. It's the biggest southern city that's tourable. Maybe Austin or Dallas. Like Texas has too many. So LA and New York, like they're kind of like the big hubs of their prospective areas. So it's like Chicago is definitely the Midwest.
Yeah. Now, what is the reason for, obviously to get a fan base and continue growing, was there a specific reason why you're focusing on the region in general?
Like right now, our goal is to kind of just see, like we've been on quite a few tours. So now we're trying to see like where we're strong and where we're not strong. So, and we're pretty much doing like one every month or so, maybe 2. I think we're going to have a couple more shows coming up now that the summer's coming.
Okay.
But our focus is to just kind of see how well we can do. Like our goal is to try to sell out every show that we've been doing, and so far so good.
Great.
This is our, and when I say selling out a show, I don't mean just being on the show. Like it's our show, like it's our show for the band. And we definitely just sold out the second Detroit headliner. We sold out Toledo.
Very nice.
Indy is the next show, and I can guarantee we'll sell that one out. It's a month and a half away, and we're just under a quarter ticket sold. So
great.
Just at the rate we're going, that's the feeling I got.
Yeah,
it would have been nice to sell out Chicago, but I feel like Chicago is going to be the toughest monster out of all these, because that night I know there was a shit ton of bands playing. There was a show after our show in the same venue. So
wow.
There's constant. That's just like New York. It's just like constant. Everybody's constantly trying to push out of there. So there's so many people packed in one little area that it's a way bigger ocean for the fish to fry in.
Right.
And it makes it tougher for smaller bands like us that haven't played there that often. So.
Oh, for sure. And if I'm not mistaken, you're also an independent band, so you're doing all of this work yourself with booking and getting other bands together, right?
Correct. Yeah, we're unsigned. If that's what you're getting at. Yeah, I even think that even when bands get signed, depending on the label or depending on like who you are, I still think it's up pretty much to the band.
Oh, sure.
I think it gets easier, but at the same time, it's now you have to answer to someone else. So again, it gets harder in some aspects. But
right.
Yeah. I think once you get off the ground a little bit, like a label, as a label should, it should help you get off the ground. Getting signed should be like the monumental point of where it's like, all right, now we should really start defining ourselves as a band and how well we can do, and getting on more tours, bigger shows, gaining more traction, because all these labels have infrastructure that they've been building for years, especially if it's like, a Rise, Fearless, Sumerian.
Sure.
Even the bigger ones like Sony and Roadrunner and Warner Brothers, they all have infrastructure that kind of helps you grow. So when you're not in that aspect, it's like, all right, it's all DIY, man.
Yeah.
That's just how it is for everybody.
Exactly. So would that be a goal of yours, or is that currently a goal of yours, to be able to get signed to the right label for you?
Yes. And that's part of the reason, again, many part answering your why are we just focusing on the region is we're trying to show, we have a label that we're in contact with, and we're trying to show exactly like what areas we're strong in, and just pretty much they like talking points. If you sell out a show, it's cool. If you do this many views on a video, it's cool. If you sell this many CDs or this many tickets,
right,
they take all this into account. You're basically building a relationship from just communicating. Kind of like just you and I. We met a while ago, and let's say you run a label, or you're looking at a world within it. Maybe you have 10 other bands, 50 other bands that you're communicating with. So it's like you're trying to set yourself apart from everybody else.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. So let's kind of transition a little bit away from the tour for right now, and let's talk about Trial by Fire. That's your brand new album that just came out very recently. So when we had talked before, and I also noticed it by going through, your discography, but that actual album, that's all singles that you've released from like 2017 to 2018. Am I right on that?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Well, technically, the last one finally dropped in 2019.
Oh, there you go.
We started writing the first couple songs, like the very first one we dropped, Where the Lines Are Drawn. We recorded it at the end of 2016. So it's
okay. We
wanted to try a different approach. Seeing us dropping singles as opposed to a full album would get more attention for each song. It gave us a little bit more time to focus on advertising and being able to zero in on what our fans really like and what we like. So it's like it was a win-win situation, and I don't know, I think it's just kind of the realm of the monster of the industry that we live in. It's that people don't necessarily care about albums. That's why I think a lot of bands drop EPs, is because number one, it's expensive to drop an album, but number two, it's like it allows you to focus more on quality than just quantity. So over the 2 years, we've been slowly releasing this album, and then we finally drop it as an album.
Yeah.
Just to help generate. I feel like there's so much going on out there that people won't even notice that it was an album already. It's already basically released music, but releasing it as an album, just a good way to package it for us. That way it's not just a shit ton of singles, and it's actually an album.
Was there something that happened then after Believe came out that you were like, hey, we need to try something different to get that attention? And then how did that idea come to you?
I wouldn't say that it was necessarily something that happened from the last release. We just, until you hit something that really, really, really works, I think you just keep searching for what you can improve on. And this was something that we definitely thought made a difference. And I feel like it definitely has.
Good.
People have definitely been awaiting this album for quite some time. I think they're already hungry for the next one. So it's like the age that we live in, it's just content after content after content. Right. And I'd rather drop a song every month as opposed to one every year, like an album every year. Even though it's the same amount, the frequency, especially when you're a smaller band like us, it makes it easier for people to, War Within, they just dropped the song last month, instead of War Within, they think they put out an album. They haven't really been putting out much music lately, or it helps keep people fresh. I mean, if you're a band that's like us and starting out, I would definitely recommend dropping single after single. I think that's what most bands do that aren't on a label, because I think once you get on a label, they kind of pigeonhole you and be like, all right, you have your next album ready by here, and then we'll push it this way.
Sure. That makes sense. So then that also gives you the ability to make more music videos if you want to. And I've noticed that almost every single on the new album, or, it was a single and now it's a full album, but a lot of them had music videos. Is that because you have more time to do that?
Yeah. I think fans, especially our fans, they appreciate the extra effort that we do. I mean, it's an art. And plus, like I just said, it's like if you don't have a label telling you what to do, you can pretty much timeline. But yeah, I think people enjoy watching music videos. They might not be the end all be all of what makes the song a great song, but it's like that little added bonus. It's our touch. It's like we're very fan oriented. We're a huge fan oriented band, so it's like without coming to a show, this is kind of how we can reach out and be like, "Yo, dude, we have on this album, I think we have 6 or 7 music videos."
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, doesn't normally happen that way. I think you guys are capitalizing in a newer way that's working out very well for what you guys are doing. And yeah, you brought up the whole seeing you live thing. If people don't get a chance to do that, then they're kind of missing out on a part of the band that connected with me very early, because I got to see you live very early. Right. That worked out very well. And you guys are a really fun, great live band. And then there's also the interaction with you guys as well. Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this then. Where does the name, and I don't normally go with names on the show, but I like the name Trial by Fire. It normally means, continuing on through something with extreme pressure or hardship. And it does seem, with the past and history you guys have had, that's very apropos to call it that. Is that the reason for doing it?
Yeah, you know what? It used to be the title of an old video game I used to play back in VGA when PC was king. And the name has always stuck with me. And it's very poetic for us, because I think the true definition, I guess the internet can destroy me later, but the true definition of Trial by Fire is that it's like a set of trials or events that you basically have to endure without any sort of training or any sort of forewarning. It's which is basically, if you're in a band, it really is life in general, but for us, I related it to we're in a band and we're trying to figure this shit out, so that one day we can tour the world and keep touring and all that stuff. But there's no training. There's no, hey, how to be a better band. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that say, hey, here's some good tips, but it's not like a rule book at all. So Trial by Fire just kind of really fit and stuck with me. I've had the name for the album pretty much the entire time. So we've kind of written the songs, at least somewhat in that perspective. It's kind of hard when you have 2 different writers writing about different stuff. So now that we don't, definitely the next album, I've already got the name of the next album, and the 2 singles that we already recorded, and all the other demos that we have, at least I've started writing since then, are under the same type of concept or guys, I don't even know what to call it, the same method and meaning behind them.
Sure. Okay. All right.
I would say I'm a huge Coheed and Cambria fan, and once I discovered them and realized that they had this huge, every song was behind a story.
Yeah.
It'd be like writing an album for Star Wars. It's like each album has to coincide with the story. So
Yeah.
that was something that definitely really stuck with me. And I think from here on out, we're going to continue to do something like this, whether it's
okay.
super in depth or not. But that's the plan.
So you're kind of going in that concept album route.
A little bit. I don't think it'll be like as weird as Coheed and Cambria. I'm not going to be singing about a 10-speed bike. It's going to make sense to me and what I feel, but it won't be as like outlandish. I would say it's going to be more. I'd like to think that the music we write is way more connectable than any Coheed song. Not to just single them out, but like I know BT Bam does that stuff too. There's a bunch of bands that do that.
So. Oh yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. Okay, so. We're going to hit on a couple things you said, but one thing I did want to mention was you talk about, having a story for the music itself. So as you were writing the singles, were you worried at all that the tone or concept or message or anything like that if you had sat down and written an entire album, were you worried that putting them all together in this new entire album, that there would be any issues with that?
No. I feel like when you create music or you create an album, whether it be a single or a full album, I think you start it at a realm of perspective. And even I hear about many bands that they write albums, and sometimes they'll take songs that are old that kind of fit in the realm of stuff that they just wrote. So it's like I know it stuck with me when Blink-182 was putting out their final one of their last albums before they split up, and now they got the dude from Alkaline Trio.
Yeah.
They took a song that was like 8 years old and put it on this new album, and they just rehashed it. So it's like, I know I've got demos that I think they're 4 years old, and I've got demos that are maybe, when I wrote the last demo, maybe a month and a half ago. So it's like, it's not hard to rewrite lyrics or kind of formulate them again. But I think when you start writing music, it comes from a frame of mind where you are at that moment. And over the course of the year, even though we wrote the first 5 in 2016, and then I think it was exactly a year later, we wrote the second 5 to complete the 10. I don't think the view was skewed. We kind of made the judgment on the sound, but not as far as the realm or vibe of it.
Okay.
But no, I wouldn't say the vision of the song and the concept gets lost. I think just maybe it can evolve a little bit with the time in between, but no, I kept that in mind as far as each of the songs as we were going along.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see or hear that much of a complete difference, but if you compare Trial by Fire to your previous 2 albums, there are tracks that are significantly different. So I just wasn't sure if there was a reason for that with the writing process, or if that was something you were trying for just organically.
I think, again, until we find something that's like, holy shit, like, wow, that one song or that one album really took us off. Like, I think every band, even when that happens, every band just sits back and thinks, wow, what can I do different? How can I get better? How can I become better? Not even, how can I get better?
Sure.
What can I outdo myself with? So I think that plays a big part. And not staying the same. I think, like when you hear a lot of fans complain, oh, I wish they just rewrite the same album again. It's like the artist is never thinking like that. I totally get it, even though it's like, I can see both sides. But no, I feel like if you don't evolve as an artist or as a musician, like you're just trying to rehash the same old thing.
No, very true. No, I definitely agree with that. So let's go back to what you had mentioned before about how now you're a single writer instead of having someone else writing. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, you've gone through a bunch of member changes in the band. Most frequently, I would say, right, more with your unclean vocalist than anyone else, unless
Correct.
I'm mistaken there. So do you mind telling everyone, obviously, I know a lot about your past. I had you on one of my previous shows, but for new people, for Scene Daddy interviews, would you mind going through a little bit of the past of the band with Sons of Saturn, then Believe, and now Trial by Fire, and some of the member changes you've had?
Well, really, it is when you start to make your music a career, that's where you really throw yourself a loop, because you think it's all fun and games. Like the industry paints a picture, at least it used to when I first started listening to music. It's like all partying and girls and all this crazy shit that you do. But at the end of the day, it's like just work.
Sure.
And some people don't understand the concept or have a transition of that. They just think, oh, shit will be easy. You just write a couple songs and boom, you're a rock star.
Right.
I don't know. Some people also have different visions with sound and all that stuff. And I don't know. Just some people just straight up aren't cut out for it.
Right.
And definitely this business is not for the faint of heart. And that's what I would say is equated to why I've gone through so many other members. I mean, who knows? Maybe I really am a dick, but I don't know. Deep down, I feel like maybe I push people hard and some people just can't hack it. I don't know. I feel like if I was an asshole, people wouldn't, like my fans wouldn't be coming back and
Right.
like appreciating. I wouldn't have repeat customers, in other words.
Oh, for sure. No, I wouldn't be like, hey, let me get Spencer on the show. I know he's talented, but man, he's a super dick. Like that wouldn't happen.
I mean, to be honest, though, I've heard so many stories. Like, it's just all about perception, man. I mean, maybe
Sure.
me and a couple past members didn't agree, see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, we got to work together.
Right.
And sometimes just personalities don't mix. You got to find the right. Like, if you're a band starting out, you think, oh, my 3 best friends or my 4 best friends, we can make this sweet ass band together. You realize how people can get fucking lazy in an instant. So,
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
Especially if you're the one pushing, or maybe vice versa, you're the one like trying to relax and let things work, and another person's just spinning their wheels. If you have differences in opinion, it definitely takes a toll on the relationship, and it's stressful, man. Especially when you're in situations where you break down in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and
Yep.
you know you have to get a new vehicle or something like that. It's just not stress conducive, you know. It's not things you would deal with at oh, hey, I'm going to work. Oh, sorry, my car broke down. Well, let me call my boss and see if they'll let me come in late or tomorrow. No, that's not how that shit works on tour. So
Nope.
it makes a big difference, I think.
Yeah. No, definitely. So then with those changes, how did the writing process change for you? Did it actually become less stressful to kind of rely on yourself and not have to rely on someone else?
Yeah, because it's like, especially now with lyrics, you can have like one goal, one origin in mind,
Mm-hmm.
and it won't be something where you have to kind of like, oh, I'll fit it around this. Like you can write it about one specific thing, and it'll make sense even if you feel like you have a little bit of a mind change, or like you get out of the mood of what you're writing.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's like I think more recently, it's you have to pick like a genre of music. Dare I say genre? Dare I trap myself in that word? But you have to have like a specific sound that people enjoy. Like if you're writing music that one of the band members really doesn't like, which was totally the case in this case,
Mm-hmm.
or if you just get a member who is just completely wishy-washy and has no idea what the fuck is going on, or is clueless with what they want, like it just makes things miserable for everybody else in the band. So.
Right.
It's like any relationship. It's like a marriage. So you got to just get used to some people's personalities and, learn to work around or with them. So
right.
It's a job at the end of the day, but it's supposed to be a job you love. So
absolutely. So then with the new material that you said you've been writing after Trial by Fire, when you write, do you write with the band? Do you write lyrics with the band and go through everything? Or does the band write, the music and then come to you? Or are you in charge of everything?
It's usually, I mean, so far, like for these next few demos, it's mainly been me, and I'll let people like say their opinions. And because I mean, I really, really don't have an ego when it comes to writing. If somebody says, "Yo, dude, this part sucks," or "I like this part. This is why I like this part," or "I like this sound, and this is why I like it," I always take that in consideration because it's like I want them to enjoy what they're playing as well.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, they pretty much let me have free roam. But I mean, opinions get thrown out there, which I highly encourage. So I feel like if it was just me, I would probably just sit in a room all day and write the same song, or I'd write from Flaming Lips to Cannibal Corpse in one song. So it's like, you have that mental battle with yourself, and I don't know, it's kind of nerve-wracking yet releasing, because you don't have to worry about anybody else trying to get in your way. It's just you, which can be even worse than sometimes more than one other person or 10 other people.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always good to kind of have that one central focus. And then, I mean, that's just kind of what happens when you go and record with a producer anyways. It's the same thing. So if you think it's an ego driven thing, it's like, I mean, unless you're, Taylor Swift or something like that, or whoever the hell is a huge writer, and they're, Ed Sheeran. I'm pretty sure nobody really tells exactly Ed Sheeran what the fuck is up in the studio,
Sure.
but I'm sure there probably is still a producer who helps mold him.
Yeah, for sure.
But since I am not Ed Sheeran, I don't expect people to treat me like Ed Sheeran. So I go, hey, does this, if this sucks, tell me.
Yeah.
And when you go in and write, the producer will do exactly that. They go, no, this is all bullshit. Let's write a new song. Or,
Right.
let's save this, this, whatever process their expertise is into.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to look at it. So yeah, that was the question, was just to see how you guys write as a band. So I think I get that now. So another question I have is, I had recently seen, a very short clip of you live, and it was a clip for the song Valkyrie. And a lot of the songs that you've been writing, especially recently, have clean and unclean vocal spots, but it looks like you're doing both. Is that the way you plan on going, or will you be picking up someone else to kind of pick up the slack?
I know we've been looking for a couple other, we've been looking for second guitarists for quite some time now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a couple of the other members have been trying to step up vocally.
Okay.
I got no problem. It's tough when you switch from being one vocalist to doing one part out of two, and then being one vocalist to do two parts.
Right. Yeah.
Still being one vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
But no, to be honest, to spoiler alert myself, these two singles, there is zero screaming on any of these songs.
Okay.
They're still heavy.
Yeah.
They're still heavy. I would equate them to like New Asking, Beartooth, and not so New Bring Me the Horizon, but kind of in that realm of hard rock / metal, but no screaming. So I don't know if that helps paint a picture.
Yeah, so no screaming. Now, can I ask, though, the bands that you just brought up relied very heavily on electronics in their brand new albums. Is that the direction you're also going in?
I would say not. I'd say this one is more vocally driven.
Okay.
I know there's still some, like the two we recorded with Matt Good, they definitely had some electronics to them, but it was mainly all guitar driven. It's like we're kind of going back to my old punky roots and more rock and roll, like kind of like the first album, Son of the Saturn.
Okay. All right.
But with like a different, more modern flair, I would say. A modern sound now is still kind of a vintage sound.
No, very true. Now, you did bring up something that I definitely wanted to talk about, because obviously Matt Good is one of my favorite people. He's probably, just one of my favorite all-time vocalists and songwriters and everything in between. Did you reach out and know you definitely wanted to work with him? And then what was it like actually doing it?
No. Okay, so here's the story. I've been a From First to Last fan since, at least 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
And it was a huge honor to meet and hang out with him and work with him. But no, it's a funny story. We were on this last Hard Feelings tour, and the last date was in Arizona.
Oh, sure.
And his manager was the promoter of the show there. And he saw us during sound check and was like, damn, I like the chemistry. I like the sound. Our manager knows him pretty well. And we got to chatting. And then they were like, hey, we should book this here and there. And then pretty much on the way home, they're like, all right, so you're going to be back in a week.
Yeah.
So I literally was home for like a week or so. And then I just hopped on a plane and flew out to Arizona.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah,
all right.
It was a pretty intense moment, because it's like, I don't think I've ever done that before. It's like completely travel, pause for a minute, and then go back to traveling.
Right.
Go back to work, basically, in this sort of instance.
Right. So then when you decide, yes, this is going to happen, did you go down with material already prepared, or was this like, hey, we're going to do everything right now from scratch?
You know what? It was a very confusing time. I already have another album's worth of material.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to bring it just in case, because the communication was very, dare I say, lack.
Sure.
It's just when you meet a producer, they're just so focused and busy. They don't want to worry about the logistics. That's usually why they have a manager. When you're a band and you tour, you don't want to worry about, where you're going. You have somebody telling you what the fuck is up.
Exactly.
So this was also the case. So I had zero expectations about what the hell was going on. One moment I was like, I think he's going to rework some of my demos and we're going to rewrite. And then another moment I was like, damn, I think we're going to start writing from scratch. So I was just pretty much prepared for whatever. But at the end, he pretty much took two of the songs that I already had that he really enjoyed, and we reworked them. I would say they changed. They changed quite a bit. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm too deep into it. But who knows? Maybe he changed them a lot as far as I could tell. But I'm really impressed. I got to give that guy mad props to how fast and how efficient he works.
Oh yeah.
Like being in a band and doing what I do for work, it's just like efficiency is key on anything. So anything that works efficiently is insanely supreme to me. So it was real cool. Plus it was like a little fanboy jerk off session that I got to do where I'm like, damn, I'm hanging out with somebody I've seen in concert a few times, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So was there anything, before we move on from this, was there anything specific that you can say you learned while working with him? Anything that you're going to apply to either your writing process or production?
Well, you know, it's funny. When we recorded with Chris Crummett, he did like 13 the Sirens, Issues, Dance Gavin Dance.
Yeah.
He has like such a different approach from Matt.
Okay. Like
Chris is way more meticulous, and Matt's like whatever. I don't give a fuck. Like he gives you the sense it's like, yo, dude, I know what's up, so don't worry about it. You just do what you do, and I'll take care of the rest.
Okay.
I'm not saying that Chris doesn't do that as well, but he's more like, I need you to do this exactly. And you're like, if you don't give it to him here, you're like, nope, we're going to keep going until I get what I want. Matt Good is like, just give me what you feel right now and I'll make it work.
Okay. All right.
It's just very different approaches. Like I felt like it was like, I'm the divorced kid going back and forth between the parents, and one's the fun parent, one's the strict parent.
Sure.
Both are good parents, but it's like, I don't know. Is this okay?
Right. Yeah. You don't know where you're going. Yeah. No, I get
No.
it. So now when you're writing yourself, do you find yourself to be more of that go with the flow, I know what I'm doing, or are you more on that meticulous side?
You know, when it comes to writing, I try not to be meticulous. Like if I was recording, like when it came down to recording the last, because I recorded the last 5 for Trial by Fire. When it comes down to recording, I will definitely be more focused and meticulous about how I do things. But now when it comes to writing, I try not to judge anything I'll first get. I almost try to like vomit it out just so that it's there.
Okay.
And then I'll move on once I feel like it's like out completely, and I'll listen to it over the course of like maybe a month or two. And if I'm listening to it, I'm like, oh man, I really hate this word here, or I hate this lyric, or I hate this melody, hate this change, hate how this goes, then I'll fix it. But for the most part, it's like I try not to overdo it, because like in this case, recording with Matt Good, he took exactly what I did and he revamped everything.
Right.
So it's like basically the same exact thing I would do, only somebody else did it with me. So
right. Okay.
If you spend too much time trying to perfect something, I think you'll ruin the magic. That's if you want to say I learned something from him, that's basically exactly what it is.
Okay.
It's don't worry about it. You know, it's rock and roll at the end of the day. You know, nothing's perfect.
I like that. And that's honestly, I think that's a great message for people, because I know I can definitely kind of relate that to, podcasting. I've been doing, 4 shows or whatever for the last 4 years. Like it's insane. And sometimes you want everything to come out perfect, but sometimes it's just cool to go with the flow and know that there's no way you could spend 20 plus hours on a podcast and still feel like it's not completely done. But it's just people, one of the reasons why I do it is because I get to talk to people like you who I love your music and I just want to hear about what you do. Yeah. So I completely understand that. And I think it really is a great message for people, in all walks of life.
Of course, man. I think maybe that's part of what's the problem with society today. Maybe that's just me getting old because I can say that phrase. But I feel like if you strive for perfection, you will constantly be searching for it. So it's like you got to be okay with making mistakes. And I think the people that have learned from their mistakes the fastest, or just the best and gotten over it, are the people who are the most successful. And not just this business, but any business. If you dwell on the past and dwell on your faults, that's all you're going to be thinking about, instead of how can I make myself better? It's all about the perspective.
Right. Absolutely. So you had mentioned you have 2 singles that you worked with Matt Good. Do you have a timeline of when you think those are going to be released?
You know what? I don't know, because as far as I know, they're both being shopped around because we're in talks with a specific label, and I know we're aiming to talk to a couple more. I think as far as management is concerned, we're really trying to hit one.
Okay.
But I don't think he would really care if it's if we're going with label A or label B or label C. We're just trying to look for something that makes sense.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like this next single that we're going to be coming out with will be coming out sooner than you think. That's all I can say. I don't want to put a timeline and have to bite my tongue later.
Right. No, I completely understand. But just like always, I have to ask those questions, so I don't often expect, a straightforward answer. But yeah.
If it was up to me, I would have dropped it like the day after we dropped our album.
Okay.
I don't know if it's just because where I'm at now mentally, but this is definitely one of the best songs I've ever written.
Awesome.
And going to work with Matt Good, he just brought out all the awesomeness of it. So
love it.
As egotistical as that is to say, I'm just like I've written several songs since then.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm still like, man, I can't wait for this. It's called Better Off Dead. So I can't wait for this one to come out.
Nice.
So there's a little tidbit for you.
I like it. Better Off Dead. Look, that's one of my favorite 80s movies. So I'm already liking it.
It's an 80s movie?
Yeah, Better Off Dead. It has John Cusack, and he has to ski in order to win the love of his life or some bullshit. It's one of the dumbest stories.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's trying to commit suicide multiple times in the movie because he's a teenager and he's just having a terrible life. And it's just, but it's a comedy. It's a dark comedy, and it works on so many levels. So yeah, I already like the title.
Hell yeah. There's just no way to be original in this day and age.
No, look, you can't blame. Well, look, Trial by Fire came from a video game, and this comes from a movie. So there you go. It's completely fine.
Dude, one of the biggest bands in this genre right now, in rock genre, is Bring Me the Horizon, and that came from a pretty current movie. So
right, yeah.
I don't try. People have pointed out, even though we use the font, it's still similar. I get why they're saying it, but the font Papyrus.
Yeah.
Our designer used a similar font when making Trial by Fire, but it's not the same font. But of course, since people are dumb, they're just like, "Oh, Papyrus much." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, dude."
That's the other thing too. Who knows Papyrus that well that they're like, "Oh, hey, look at this, man. You must have stolen that font." Like, I know of the company, but I could never tell you what their font is like.
Yeah, I mean, it's just cool. It's cool that people are making a big deal about just the font. And of course, as a musician, you're like, well, that's cool. But the music, though, you didn't give it a listen, did you? I guarantee.
Oh, no. It's the same. I get the same thing for the Ian Hates thing. Like, people are like, oh, you must only talk. Why would I listen to a show where you talk about things you hate? It's like, that's absolutely not what I do. It's just, it's a name. It's a nickname. That's what it is. But anyways, enough about me.
Yeah, people may just make a perception.
Oh, yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
There's no more context. There's no more like, hey, actually learn about someone or a band, listen to their music before you make judgments. It's very difficult now these days to get that. But that's one of the reasons why I do these shows, is so that people do listen to a band, so that people enjoy the personality. They learn more about you. And I think that connects them to your music.
Of course, man. There's when you hook a fan, man, just like I was talking about Coheed, man, they will dive headfirst into everything else they can fucking sniff up on the web.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to completely skew, and I'm going to go back because there is something I love. Obviously, I love talking to vocalists about what you do. And I think it's incredible what you're able to do when, especially, you've been a clean vocalist for a long time, but being able to do the dual vocals is so much more difficult. Is there anything that you were doing to train in order to do both at the same time?
Well, back when we were touring a couple of months ago, it's just like, even before that, shows, you'll start to just be like, I could do a scream here, or I could figure it. I slowly started to figure it out.
Okay.
I would say just the definite hardest part, we were just on tour with The Word Alive.
Yeah.
And Telly does all the screaming and stuff, as well as the singing, but he has his guitar players back him up, but at the same time, he's still doing a lot of the vocal lifting.
Right.
But I think the difficult part is he was one vocalist planning both of these parts for both of these he's like writing lead and rhythm guitar at the same time, but
Right.
he's not putting lead over rhythm guitar. He's doing screams here and vocal or singing here.
Right.
For me, it's literally I'm filling in a job for two. I'm the single mom trying to keep my kids fed and happy,
Right.
trying to do the dual job. So yeah, and again, another reason why I'm excited about the new stuff is because it should be a little less taxing on my body to be able to do this stuff live.
Right. Right.
Definitely
Absolutely.
being able to switch back and forth is like, it's mad props to like Thomas Erac is the fucking man for being able to like shred McGee
Oh, sure.
and do the both heavy and clean vocals.
Yeah. No, there are a lot of really, and that's why I was putting you in that category because of what you've been able to do. I think it's very impressive. Anyone who's doing the dual vocal parts.
Oh, of course. I've always had mad respect for people who could do both.
Yeah.
It's a lot tougher than it looks.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I was in a failed band where I did that. And yeah, if you don't have it right, it just sounds completely awful. But that's why I was saying you definitely don't. So that's why I wasn't sure, maybe in the future you'll go back to doing dual vocals, or you get someone who can do the uncleans while you're doing cleans, depending on how
Right.
you decide to go. But that's what's great about what you're doing is you can decide on that and you're still finding your sound and what you want to go with. And I think that's pretty cool.
Right.
No, I totally get it. So I don't normally do this, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're very fan interactive. So I did ask some people if they had some questions. And, I think we've done something similar to this before, but I thought I'd give this a shot. We had a fan called Cameron who asked, who was your biggest influence when you first got in the music industry? And I also want to add a extra onto that and say, do you have any influence now that's, bigger possibly, or that has changed since you've been in the industry for a while?
Let's see, who's been the most influential? I definitely, when I got started, like for some reason, Blink-182 was like one of the first bands that got me into music.
Ah, okay.
That made me go, shit, I want to be in a band. They just look like they have so much fun all the time. They joke around. I don't know. I feel like before I started being in bands, it was more about the bands themselves and how cool it was to play music and make this a career.
Yeah.
And now that I'm like trying to delve into the industry myself on a more serious level, I'm more inspired by the people around me who are also trying to do the same thing as me, as well as all the other fans that are supportive. Like on this last tour, there were several people going to multiple shows, like 5, 6, 10 shows.
Wow, that's
on
great.
the tour. Yeah, which was like that's never happened to us before, and we became good friends with them. And a couple of them were ones that came out to our headliner. So it's like it's just amazing the connection that music really has between people, and it could mean so many different things.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, it's just like it means so much. It's like an unspeakable meaning between people, and it could be just completely subconscious.
Right.
But it is that connection that like just drives us, and that's why bands can thrive, is because we have this understanding and connection with each other. I don't know if I completely answered
Oh no, that's
question,
good. I liked it. Yeah. No, I thought that was great. Yeah, Spencer, I think that is a perfect place to end tonight. So once again, I'll let everyone know Trial by Fire is out right now. 10 tracks, no filler. I'm hoping people will give it a listen, pick it up, and then also go see you live. Obviously, you're talking about being in your region, kind of shoring up the fans and making sure you find out where everyone is. So we're going to help with that, hopefully. But for right now, what is the best way for people to support you?
Definitely, if you can't make it out to shows, anything as extreme as buying merch on our website, awwmusic.com, or music on our website as well. But just stream it on Spotify, YouTube. Download it legally. I don't care. Start listening to our music, and that's the most for any band. That's the biggest way to support.
Sure.
If you don't love the music, then obviously you're not going to love the band. So
yeah, I mean that does make sense. I will say for me that I've always enjoyed your music from the very beginning, and like I said, you're one of my first in-person interviews. You've always been a great guy. Yeah, it's great. I mean, your impression stuck with me throughout all these years. So I'm very impressed by
That's
that.
awesome, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I swear I'm not blowing smoke. It is very true. And I've seen
Just
the way you
jerk me off, Ian. Jerk me off.
Oh, look, I mean, you probably deserve it. I would be quite honest. You probably deserve it.
No, it's all good, dude. Without people like you supporting, like a small band, you give us a small band's a voice, even if it's not super loud. But having something is better than nothing, man. Like one day it grows, man. Every podcast you do, every interview I do, it's like we slowly get one step closer, man.
Oh yeah, no, it's insane the amount of growth since we first met between the podcast and the band. It's it's very, very cool. And now with Scene Daddy interviews, it's a completely different game as well. So I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And I'm hoping,
of course, man.
hoping very soon that you'll make it up to the East Coast. I know you're focusing on your region, but hopefully you get picked up by the label you want, you put out new music, and then hopefully I get to see you on the East Coast again.
Yeah, you're from the Boston area, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're always trying to look for a tour. It's just like, everybody's always trying to fight for a tour. So it's like, if we can't do our own shows and we can get a tour, like boom, that's just how it is.
But yeah, man, thank you once again for doing this. This was a lot of fun. Much appreciated. And I wish you the best of luck in the future, man.
Dude, thank you.
You've been listening to Scene Daddy Interviews.
Thank you all for listening to Scene Daddy Interviews. Make sure you support the artists we featured by checking out the summary of the episode. Also, for all your scene news, reviews, and memes, make sure to follow Scene Daddy and Ian Hates on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe and rate Scene Daddy Interviews on your favorite podcast listening app for more great artist interviews in the future. Stay seen.